I think we're here. I think we're live.
Okay.
We're live.
Excellent.
Well, first of all, I think we should have a cheers.
Oh,
because we did it.
we
did it.
Dante.
End of 2021. A day before, I finished it.
Very well done.
Finished it. I was done. I was dusted.
Excellent.
And I felt relieved.
Same. Well, I
Good.
finished it. I finished it. I think it was like the middle, maybe third week of December, and it was just like the weight off my shoulders was done.
Was gone.
Yeah.
I think the first question, because you proposed that we do this.
It's all my fault.
And I kind of just jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
How did you find reading all of Dante's Divine Comedy?
Right. So overall, I am very glad to have read it. It's like one of those sort of it's an achievement. I've read the Divine Comedy. I can say that I've read the Divine Comedy. There are, out of the 3 books, there are books that I enjoyed the most. It was at times towards the end, it was a bit of a kind of a laborious process. It was a not stressful, that's not the right word, but just a kind of like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, right, this isn't your run of the mill. This isn't a 19th century novel that I can just sort of read and go, oh, right, that's fine. There's another Dickens off my shelf. That's fine. No, this is flipping. But overall, I am very glad to have read it, and it's something that's like, it's not. I don't feel like finished. Even though I've finished, but I don't feel like I've finished with it. So
yes,
I feel like in the future, not in the near future, but in the future, I need to have dealings with this again, because as we shall get into Dante.
Yeah. I have very similar feelings. I feel glad to have read it, but more so on the point to say I've read it rather than what I've gained out of it. And I think with maybe we'll touch on this a little bit later on, but I read a lot of poetry. I'm doing Paradise Lost for my PhD, and I kind of got a bit more out of Milton from the offset and could go, I get this. I get why it's as revered. I don't think I've answered that with Dante yet. I don't think I've gone like, this is the reason why it's stuck around for 750 years.
Yes.
That's one thing.
I think I have an idea of why that is.
Please. Please do.
Because it is a translation, and like we're never gonna get like the, unless we learn Italian, we're never gonna get the original. Yeah, we're not going to get the original. We are relying on the translation, on the translators. And I think we both found that Steve Ellis was just not vibing with us, so we kind of went further afield. And so maybe
I think if people aren't in the Discord, they might not even know this, but look what's happened to me.
Oh, you little
I changed translation. The Clive James translation, which I found in a free library, a proper hardback.
That'll do it.
And I was like, I'll pick this up for a laugh. And I preferred it 7-fold, not 10. It wasn't that great, but 7-fold to Ellis's. Okay. I could follow it a bit more, and it was a lot less, not colloquial. That's not really what I want to say that Ellis's is, but this felt a bit more poetic.
Right. Well, I sort of did a similar thing because, hello.
Oh, honestly, we are such naughty boys.
I know. This is the Alan Mendelbaum.
And how did you find that one compared to Ellis?
So reading, so the thing about Steve Ellis is is that he's got a very... It works for Inferno, but I think he's got a very weird way of structuring the verse and structuring like clauses and stuff. And it's fine for Inferno, but once you get to more sort of philosophical stuff, the sort of deeper stuff, it becomes, for me, it became really impenetrable.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the Alan Mendelbaum, and this is kind of what I wanted from a translation so far. I've only read Inferno, but this is kind of much more... It's much more easier to read, and but it still has that feeling of reverence. It feels... I think Alan Mendelbaum tried to kind of bring a reverence and a kind of and a poeticness to it.
So is that written as a poem?
Sorry?
As in, like, does it have like a rhyme scheme?
It doesn't have a rhyme scheme, but it just feels more... It feels more literary, but not impenetrable.
Yeah, so Clive James is in rhyme, so it's in A B A B C D C D X X X X X Z Z. It just follows that, and yeah, I think the rhyme helped me, especially when we got to Purgatorio, because I think that's why I made the switch. Because Ellis, it got to a point where I wasn't sure that Ellis's translation felt like there was no rhyme or reason. He was just verbatim going for it.
Yeah.
And then adding a little bit of, and I was in this corner. And you're like, what? There
are some really weird bits where it just throws you off. He sort of does... I think it works for Inferno, and he wrote Inferno first, didn't he? And it was like, it was received well, and then like a decade later or something, he did the whole thing. But I think Purgatorio, and especially Paradiso, which we'll get to, it just didn't... His way of dealing with it just didn't... Yeah.
Spoiler alert, people. For Paradiso.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start off on maybe Inferno, because it's the first book. Does that make a bit of sense? Yeah. So we've spoken about this. We've done a live stream. We didn't do a live stream for Purgatorio because I went into hospital. So
that'll do it.
That'll do it. You know, if you don't have an excuse, make it a good one, eh? But I think I can understand why Inferno is read by a lot of people, and then people go, "I'm done."
Yeah. Yeah, same.
I think as a nice, easy way, I think is the statistic. I watched a lecture that out of the 100 people who finish Inferno, 10% go to read Purgatorio and 1% read Paradiso. And we were the schmucks. We are the 1%. That's us. Noah's here. Dante?
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I can understand why people read. I think Inferno is less philosophical.
Yes.
More imagery.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of all there for like the shock factor. Although most of it isn't that shocking, apart from the snakes.
The snakes is shocking.
That's a bit bold.
The people who are cut from here to here is a bit gross.
Nave, yeah. And you got the people in poo.
The people in poo.
The people in poo. Third level people. People in poo.
Yeah, no, I really get that. I think there's just something about, I'm going to read a book that's going to hell, and there's something, I can see the draw that would have for people, just for the shock factor and the kind of the horror factor, and yeah.
But another reason, because I've been thinking about this for not very long, for like 2 days, but there's no faith really in Inferno.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as you start to move into Purgatorio and then completely all the way through Paradiso, I think if you're not open to the Christian religion in any way, shape, or form, you're not reading it. Yeah. I can see people be like, I'm not being lectured by a dead man. Yeah. Which I felt Dante was towards the end. But
Yes.
how did you feel the same? Do you?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, the because mainly with Inferno, I mean, you've got it isn't about the religion, so to speak. It's more about this. There's a lot of politics in Inferno, I feel, with
You gotta
just
know
how
who's
people
who.
are, with just how people are, the reasons why people are. What am I trying to say? The reasons why people
The
are.
reasons why they're there, and who? Because sometimes he will tell you, and other times he's like, "I'm an Ava Day Vizier," and you have to go, "Who's he? Like, what's he got to do? Why is he covered in poo?
Why is it coming in poo?
Yeah, why is he
And to
covered
be
in
fair to
poo?"
Steve Ellis, the footnotes are great for that. They are great for that
Yes.
in Inferno, for the most part. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree. There's no, you can just sort of get through Inferno, and you don't feel lectured to. It's just a kind of wild, weird, dense ride. But yeah,
Yeah. I think out of all of them, despite it being quite an intangible topic,
hmm
this was the most tangible to me.
yeah,
I kind of know what hell looks like. I mean, I knew the final scene of Inferno, if you, as in like in cold, Judas Iscariot and Brutus in the devil's mouth. Didn't know they exited through the groin, but that's always a fun little that's a little fun fact for everyone.
yeah.
But I kind of had like a tangible idea, despite not playing Dante's Inferno the game, but just off. I don't really know what it is about Dante's, but just the hearsay of Dante. I felt as though I knew what was going on. I could go, I got this.
Yeah,
I'm fine here.
yeah.
Purgatorio,
Uh-huh.
from that point, I didn't know what was going on. And though I found Purgatorio at the summit a lot easier, as soon as we started to climb,
Yeah.
he lost me a bit then. He got very no, is the summit? That's the bottom, isn't it?
The summit's the top.
I'm so sorry. The base of the mountain.
Yeah.
I was like, I got
Base
this.
camp.
Base camp, yeah.
Yeah, I
As
remember
soon as we start trekking
saying
through the
this.
terraces.
I remember us talking about this, like reading the beginning, and we were both like, "This is so much easier. This is so much more chill." But then, it all goes as we go uphill. It all went downhill.
Yeah, the closer he gets to Beatrice, the more. I don't even know if it is philosophy. There's a lot of theology. It was very dense about the virtues. Like, what is it to be lazy? And you're like, I don't know. But I also found, and maybe this was just the Clive James, because I wasn't really comparing to Ellis's version from that moment on. But I felt as though there was something in the way. I feel as though something that Dante needed me to like have like a precondition, like knowing to the point that maybe I wanted footnotes at that point. So the Clive James version has 0 footnotes.
Gotcha, yeah.
And it was just referencing some things. Maybe I could have just gone to Ellis and gone, "Oh, mate, can you pass me your notes a little bit here?"
Yeah.
But
well, there are some weird bits where he has dreams, and I guess without notes, it would be difficult to know. Kind of, is this bit a dream? Is this bit not? What does it mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still. I think it's kind of. It does still feel like a sort of stepping stone from Inferno, because you still do have gross bits in it, which I was surprised by. I wasn't.
Yes, same.
I wasn't expecting the sewn up eyes or anything like that. I was like, whoa.
Because is the first one, are they crushed by boulders? That's until they.
Yes, I can't remember.
I think it's until they reconcile with what their reasons they're for. Only then they can move up one to a new torture. I assume, but
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure whether that was what they were being done for, and then it was fine. They could sort of skip up to the top, or whether it was kind of like a 7-tier system. I'm not sure.
It started to lose me. I didn't really know what was really going on. I started looking at Spark Notes for some of them, just thinking like, I need to know what's happening here, because I'm just a bit, just a bit lost.
And that was kind of what was frustrating for me with this, because I was like, this seems like it would be a beautiful, deep discussion about the nature of love or the nature of our souls, you know. But because of the translation, I was just like, "Oh, Steve Ellis, just tell me what's going on, for God's sake!" And I haven't read. I've only read Inferno of this and like little bits and pieces, so I don't know whether this is any better. But I mean, I think Tom from LA Books, who's doing the big 100 videos, he's
linked down below. Please do check him out, and I've put the list to the playlist as well, so please do check it out.
Yeah. But yeah, he often references this one and stuff, so we'll see. But I did enjoy Purgatorio, to the extent that I found it interesting, and once they got to the very top with the sort of the Garden of Eden bit, I thought that was really fascinating, particularly with all the sort of the mythological stuff, which I'd sort of forgotten about. Christian mythology can get really weird, and it was all in that garden place, and I just found that really interesting.
Because I preferred the first meeting of the angels, we're not talking like Canto 6 at the moment, people. That was my favorite out of Purgatorio, where he sees the boat come past, and all of them are just chanting.
Yeah.
And then he gets, is it 7 P's on his forehead?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I don't know why I found it really weird, but every time he went up a level in Purgatorio, and he'll just like dust one off. Like, oh, you've done that. I'm like, he hasn't done it. He's just walked. He hasn't done anything. He's just walking through, being like, yeah, whatever.
And mostly Virgil's carrying him as well, because you know
he faints a lot.
Virgil.
Yeah, but I will say Dante begins to be very independent, because he just walks off from Virgil a lot. You can see Virgil standing there being like, I wasn't meant to be here. I've been told. I just got to get you up to the top. Which brings me to, I thought Virgil's leaving. So when he reaches Mount Purgatorio, Beatrice goes, I'll take over from here. You can go.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just Clive James, but he just turns around and goes. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, so what?
Virgil.
Virgil's like, cool, yeah, bye. Back down to hell. Which I thought was a really odd move, as there seemed to be a lot of emphasis of, this is why Virgil's here. This is why he's important. We got references to the Aeneid. There's Greek mythology in hell. Dan is like, okay, see you, mate. He's like, okay, bye. And then Beatrice and him from a fountain on was it a unicorn? Chariot?
Or a griffin or something. Yeah.
Griffin,
unicorn.
Unicorn in a fountain, and then they go to Paradiso.
Yes.
What did you think Paradiso was going to be?
I wasn't entirely sure. I knew that it was going to be, you know, the religious bit. I knew it was going to be very hefty with that sort of stuff. And when I started, I got a bit excited, because it's not set in space, but you're in the.
I was going to say I was a bit alarmed that he was like, "Oh, not in the clouds. We're in space.
We're in space. We're in the stars, and it's spheres and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, this is fascinating." And then we get to the fact that there's a hierarchy in heaven, which I was like, okay. And then we get to the fact that those nuns who were forced. I was just like, Dante.
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning, there's nuns who were forced into marriages. So they kept their dedication to God in their hearts, but because they were forced to relinquish God, and because they didn't martyr themselves, they are now in the lowest part of heaven. And I was like, ugh. And I hate to be a school of resentment about it, but I was like, Dante! But, so there was that. And then as it kind of progressed and it became much more philosophical and much more thingamabob, and the translation just getting more and more kind of like, what? Yeah, I was just, it got more and more frustrating. I was just like, ugh. But yeah.
Yeah, so Dante in Space, as I'm calling Paradiso. Dante in Space
Barbarella
is... I kind of loved it.
Kieran!
Because it's like, when I think about what poetry should do, or what people think is Paradiso, it's hard. It's like he's talking about like the virtues, like what is love, what is faith, what is justice, and trying to navigate it in very sublime ways. So I loved it for that reason. I think if you want to see like what poetry can do, similar to Milton, I would probably point to Paradiso. My difficulty, or my criticism, I don't even know if it is a criticism. My difficulty, we'll say my difficulty, is that...
Your struggle.
Yes. I would like to say, and this isn't like me being like, ho, look how cool I am. I've never really struggled with poetry. Like, when we did GCSE, I got it. A-level, I didn't do English, so I didn't have to get it. Yeah. I've been doing it. I'm doing it for my PhD. I've done it for my BA. Done it for my masters. I can grapple with like most. Paradiso was like 7 levels, 2 up there for me. Yeah. I didn't... Good poetry. Like, I get what he was saying. I just didn't get what was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a turning point for some people.
Yeah.
The only thing I can relate it to is Paradise Lost by Milton. Some scenes, I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, I think I know what's happening, but I can still like vividly picture it. I know like roughly what's going on, even with the conversation between Saint Peter is that like in the outer spheres?
Yeah.
Like, what is faith? And he's arguing this is what faith is, and if all humanity turned to Christianity, we wouldn't need faith. And then what is like determination, or what is it? It's like commitment.
Faith.
And Beatrice comes in,
and something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I think it's like commitment, and Beatrice comes in for Dante, going, "Oh, actually, like this is I'll vouch for him." And then she goes, "What is love?" And then Beatrice is like, I'm out, Dante. You can... I know you've pined over me since like you saw me once, but like you could take that one on, mate. So there's that conversation. Again, I didn't really get the points that were trying to be made, but I got it there.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we move into, is it the Elysium?
Yeah.
Which is that's where God is, the Elysium. I don't know what was going on.
Exactly, yes.
But it was very sublime is the only way I could describe it.
Yeah.
It's very like, wow, look at this. I mean, he's a bit more poetic than me just going, wow,
look at this.
But wow, look at that.
So there's two things out of that. I mean, the first, because what I did appreciate was the way in which he questioned stuff. That he was like, why is there a hierarchy in heaven? Why are those nuns down there and stuff? And And then he was like, well, why is there suffering in the world and stuff? And so I liked that kind of, as you say, that sort of grappling with the really big questions. It was just the answers were so kind of like, and I was like,
yeah.
what?
It was like, do you know when you speak to like an expert in the field and you ask them like a very simple question and they give you like the answer that's in a way that's just like, oh, mate, you need to like break this right down. But sadly, Dante's dead and he won't break it down for you because it's published.
Yeah.
It felt a bit like that. But
yeah, I think what I realized was that Paradiso, especially, is the book that you have to really study. You can't just read it; you have to like study it and research it and stuff. And you need like as many notes as you can. You need as many lectures as possible, and you can't just read it and go, "Ah, yes, la la la."
Yeah, I don't think anyone's read the Divine Comedy first read and gone, got it. Like
yeah.
I would be like, yeah, okay, mate, because I didn't. I mean, most of Paradiso, but
Yeah.
I think I'm more in praise of its like how it's structured and the like what he is trying to do, which I mean that in itself is an achievement, but is this like enjoyable to read? Not really. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think you have to kind of study this.
You have to want to as well. You know, you have to kind of
which
I think a lot of people do, obviously. But if you're kind of just reading it to kind of go as we both are, just because we're sort of curious, I think we're kind of just like, But I kind of, but even because I was thinking like, is this just the Steve Ellis translation? So I was looking at this one as well, and it's just as dense and just as kind of like complicated. So it is just there must be something about the original Italian that is just so difficult that it just makes it virtually impossible to translate. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if I think what probably doesn't help is you got a lot of Christian mythology, like Christian theology. Like you need to know your Bible. I know the Bible maybe better than some people, but it's not like some of the things he was referencing. I'm just there going, oh, I remember Transfiguration, but I don't know the entire details of Jesus on the mountain and everything there. You got to know your Bible like inside and out. And you read the Bible in preparation for this. And was it any? You read some of it though, yeah, or like none of it?
No, I've had I came from a religious background, so I've I know my Bible, you know as much as the next bloke, but no, the main books that I found useful that I had read were the Aeneid and Metamorphosis, and those were the two ones that I found most
Kafka's
useful.
or Ovid's?
Ovid's.
That's a literary joke, people. That's all you came for. We can end this live stream now based on it. No,
what do you think of Marx? I think their pants have dropped off.
I don't know how I feel about it. I did really enjoy Paradiso just for the sheer like awe of it.
Right, yeah, I can see that, yeah.
But I think if you talk about like, did you enjoy it? Probably Inferno more so. I can see why most people are drawn to Inferno, and I can see why only 1% finish Paradiso.
Yeah,
and I think most people maybe try Paradiso and give up because it's just it took a while to read Paradiso, and then I think about halfway I just had to succumb to I just don't know anymore. I think after what is it? Is it the gods of war on Mars?
Oh yeah.
And the kings. after that, I was pretty much like, don't know what we're talking about anymore. You're on a different plane to me, Mr. Dante.
Yeah.
But I think a question, because we asked this right at the beginning.
Oh, hello.
Who's Beatrice?
Beatrice.
And we've learned about Beatrice. We've figured out who she was. Dante loves her. Swoons over it's the muse. But at the end, who's Beatrice? Why?
Yeah. Why?
Because she turns into an even more beautiful Beatrice.
Yeah.
She kind of like Kafka's Metamorphosis. I'm bringing it back around. She sheds, and then there's light everywhere. And Dante's like, now she looks really beautiful. And then again, lost.
Yeah. There's a work of his which is before the Divine Comedy, where he talks about meeting her. I can't. If I was prepared, I would. The the poem that he wrote before the Divine Comedy, I think it starts with V, where he where he talks about.
You hear it here first, folks.
I know my stuff. Yeah, but apparently, like, he met her the first time he met her, he was 9, and then he met her once more after that, and that kind of just inspired this massive kind of like, I love you, Beatrice.
He does love Beatrice.
Yeah,
it's not reciprocated. I don't think she came.
That's what I was surprised at the end of Purgatorio. She is really pissed off at him.
Yeah, she doesn't like him at all. Wait, yeah, I just found I didn't get it. I don't know why. I don't know why Beatrice was there. I'm not sure. Is she like a representation in some way of something else that I'm just like? Because why does she get to go to the Elysium? Why does Dante get to go to the Elysium?
Yeah.
Is he dead? Because he's not. But there's a bit of me that's like, I don't know.
He's not dead, but we don't see the point where he returns, do we?
No. He kind of basks in the glory of God.
Yeah.
And I think that they just went, I've done. Greatest poem ever. He's told himself this like over 50 times through the course of writing it.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
if there's
this is the greatest thing.
Manifestation, then, you know, if you're an author or you're a poet or something, you write in your work, I am one of the greatest authors ever, then you never know, you might become one of the greatest authors ever.
750 years, you might have two schmucks on YouTube being like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but it was okay. We done it.
Me, Homer, Ovid.
Dante loves Dante.
Yeah.
And if you're not your number one fan, who is?
Yeah. If you can't love yourself.
Carrying that cross. And I think maybe to round this off, Dante was 35.
Yes.
And he went halfway through his life in the forest.
Yeah.
You now are 35 years into the forest.
Indeed, I am. I've got the hairline to prove it.
Was this worth it? Do you think now at 35,
I've been
was
to
it the
hell.
right decision to make?
I've been through hell. I've been through Purgatorio. I've sort of, I guess, been to heaven. Yes. Because if it wasn't, then what the hell was the past month all about? Past 3 months all about? No, it was worth it. It was worth it. I'm glad to have started my journey with the Divine Comedy because it's not finished yet. I could say I've read it. That's great. I didn't really understand it. Whatever. But I feel like I don't know. I don't feel finished with the Divine Comedy yet. I think I need to finish this bad boy at some point. This translation.
Yes.
Maybe do another translation further on in the years if I'm spared. and yeah, I think it's one of those ones which you could just tick off if you've read it, but there is something about it which I am intrigued by, and I love the artwork that it inspires as well.
Yes,
that's something that I really love.
A lot of artwork.
A lot of artwork.
Didn't know much about Dante's comedy. Not gonna lie. And look at me now. I've read Dante in Space. I've trudged through Lucifer's groin.
Yeah.
I've had angels write pee-pee on my forehead. And I'm happy to say I'm done with this. Like, nah, that's going.
You're done.
That's going soon. I'm like, I've read it. I've done my dues. I can have the street cred that comes with. Yes, I've also read Paradiso. To which most people go, "What's Paradiso?" And you have to be asked. It's the third book in the trilogy. Don't worry, I'll catch you up. But yeah, I think I'm done with Dante.
That is fair enough.
I think in my 27-year-old body, the head of a 50-year-old, I think I am. I think me and Dante, just like Virgil, I will be Dante's Virgil. I've done the journey, and he's gone, we're finished. I go in.
You're like,
back off. I back off to my little Welsh village. And I'm just going to read Milton to my dying days. You only have one epic poem in your heart. What can I say?
I'm really looking forward. I really want to read Paradise Lost now. So I'm really looking forward to reading that.
Maybe there's a series waited to be. Maybe, who knows? But I do you know what I think? If you're going to read Dante, I think you should read it with someone else.
Yeah.
I think that's the main takeaway from this.
Yes, I agree.
I think I definitely would have given up by Purgatorio.
Yeah.
But we had the community to push us through. And COVID. I also had COVID to push me through. Because I was in hospital. I was like, I'll get a few pages out the way.
Well, Ben, you okay now?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Fine. Yeah, A-okay. Loving life as always. Chilling with my homies. That's what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
We're all doing fine. But it's been an emotional journey.
It has. And thank you so much for coming along with me with my tired old ass 35-year-old self.
It's been great. The voice notes have been plentiful. It's been hilarious. And we can now close the chapter on this book. I wish I had my original, but Clive James people. Also, if anyone wants this from me, just let me know. I'll send it. I'm done. Anyway, Ben, you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Don't get caught in the third layer of hell. Don't be covered in poo. You lovely people who've watched, same as you. Tatty ho. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.